In this video, I'm going to walk you through a 9-step checklist to get more clients. Uriel King here. Welcome aboard, guys. If you're looking to get more clients into your health coaching business, this is the video for you. Why should you listen to me? Well, I've been at this longer than anyone else. In this space, I've been in this health industry online for 20 years. I've helped thousands of health professionals build coaching businesses that have amassed more than $217 million in collective revenue. I built and sold my first online health business starting back in 2005. For multiple 7 figures, we helped 500,000 people to better health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All I'm sharing with you here is what I've learned over these 20 years so that you don't have to take 20 years to hit a home run in your business. So, prerequisites for this to make sense. I'm actually going to share a really cool scorecard with you on the screen. You can actually download it below this video. You have to be an expert. Okay, so that's kind of like the entry points into playing this game of business. If you're not an expert, no one's going to give you money to help them because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for experts to help them. Okay, so where a lot of people go wrong is they focus on tactics. They're focused on like, how do I get more people coming into my world? How do I get more visibility? And that's all fine, okay? But here's the thing I want you to recognize. This is a writer downer. Conversions come first. Conversions come first. Here's why I say this. It doesn't matter what your traffic source is, whether it's organic, whether you have joint venture partners or ads or anything. No traffic source is going to make sense if the people coming from that traffic source see your offer and then don't buy. If you're running ads and you spend $100 a day and no one buys your thing, your coaching program, etc., down the funnel, then you're not going to be able to continue spending $100 a day. However, if you spend $100 a day and you have nice conversions through the whole process, then you actually have what's called a return on ad spend. You spend $1, you make $2. You spend $1, you make $5, whatever it is. And what that means is instead of being at $100 a day or going back to zero, you can go to $200 a day, $500 a day, or in our case, $20,000 a day plus. How do you make that happen? Well, it starts by mapping out 9 important checkpoints that have to be in place in order for people to actually give a shit about what it is you have to offer. And that's what I'm going to walk you through here. I've got a scorecard called the Client Activator Scorecard. Literally, think about this. It literally activates dormant prospects in your world into clients. So if you have an email list, if you have a social following, if you have people that just know you, some of them, many of them perhaps based on the size of your following, are just literally sitting there waiting for the right activation point. And the activation point is essentially having an offer and messaging that they're like, man, this is for me. So I'm not saying you have to go out there and find all sorts of new people, which by the way, is going to be part of the game of growing your business anyways. Like you have to expand your reach and visibility. But this is a very, very good starting point because it's going to help you refine your messaging and offer in such a way when people come to your stuff, they're going to think, this is my person. They have something compelling that I want. So let's walk through this together. You can actually download the Google Doc version of this. Again, it's just below in the description. If you go to File, you're going to want to make a copy of this. And then on that version, you're going to mark this up. You're going to type into a couple areas on this document. So let's go through this together one by one. You've got a couple different sections. We have 3 major areas: message, market, magic. So before we go to the scorecard, let's look at the message. Okay, so the message is the messaging. It's the words, it's the offer, right? Part of the offer. The market is, well, who's the single target market? And the magic is, well, what is it that you're offering them? Like, what is the magic that they're going to get that's going to transform their health? So this Client Activator Scorecard is broken down into those 3 major areas. So let's start off with the first one, which is the market. It's the most important thing here. We have 3 components. Single target market, seeking a solution now. They have a major pain or problem, and you plan to dominate it. So one of the most important things you can do in business is narrow down your focus, is niche down. Even if you're a generalist right now, that's fine, but no one wants a generalist. Like you're a Me Too commodity at that point. Everyone wants a specialist. Think about your own life. Like if you had a plumbing issue, are you going to call a general contractor? No, you're going to call a plumber. It's the same thing in business. So here, these 9 scores, let's look at them one by one. So the first one here is single target market, seeking solution now. So you're going to score this on a score of 1 to 9. So 1 is, as you can see up here, is terrible and 9 is ideal. So I've kind of used these criteria, if you will, to give you a sense of what I mean by this. So for instance, on the low side here, your single target market is everyone. You're willing to work with anyone who will pay you. So if that's you, you're going to grade yourself anywhere from 1 to 3. So 3 is a little better. 3 is a little bit better. Obviously, it's an arbitrary scale. 1 is like, I will literally just take anyone. Okay. On the flip side, if we just go right to the end of the spectrum, you dominate a specific target market and you focus on helping people who are seeking help now. Now, that again, spectrum, all these have a bit of a gray area, right? So 7, 8, or 9. I want you to recognize this is, in my experience, whenever I use scorecards with people, here's a pattern I notice. Those who struggle the most in business score themselves the highest. Don't be that person. Because if you score really high on this and I ask you to show me your revenue better be fucking huge. Otherwise, you're lying to yourself. And when I just, for sake of comparison, when I score myself on this stuff or any other scorecards we use in our business, my scores are atrociously low. So if we use a scorecard of like 1 to 4, I barely make it past 2. Okay? And we do multiple 8 figures. So just context. The most successful people in life are the hardest on themselves. I'm not saying you need to like berate yourself, but be honest. And the easiest way of being honest is open up your bank account. Okay? If you're scoring yourself super high on this, look at your online bank at the same time. And if you love what you see in there, awesome. If you don't, you got to be honest with these numbers. Okay. With that said, give yourself a score. So what you're going to do is you're going to type into the document letter 9, number 9 or 8 or 7 or whatever it is. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to format this a little bit better for you so that it's a little bit nicer. So give yourself an 8, a 5, etc. Got it? Cool. So the next one we're going to go on to is a major pain or problem. That's the second criteria when we're looking at dominating a specific niche market. So again, I'm just going to give you the spectrums for the sake of time, but you can obviously read between the lines. So on the 1 to 3 side, you serve people who are mostly browsers looking for tips and band-aids instead of real transformation. On the other side, your audience knows they have a major pain or problem and they want it solved now. So if you are targeting, I'm just going to fix my mic here. If you're targeting that individual, that is what you would want to score yourself. So again, give yourself a score. If you're somewhere in the yellow, you can certainly score yourself there as well. Number 3 is plan to dominate. So this is more of a mindset in terms of how you approach your market. Procter & Gamble, I don't know if they still have this, but several years ago, they had $13 billion brands. 13 billion with a B. And their whole philosophy was they don't enter a market unless they plan on being number 1 in that market. And I love that philosophy because you're going to put in the work anyways, right? You might as well just try to be the best. So this is more of a mindset. So you dabble in many different niches and are a jack of all trades, helping anyone you can. So not too dissimilar from the first question. On the flip side, you are the dominant authority in your niche and your perfect clients line up to work with you, no matter the price. So score yourself on a scale of 1 to 9 there. Okay. So that's going to be the market. So what you're going to have right now, I'm just going to put in some placeholder numbers. So I'm going to just put in a 6, put in a 5 and a 4. Okay. So I'm just going to put those in there just for the sake of this video. And then you'll obviously have your own numbers. Okay. So the second piece here is going to be related to the message. So we talked about market, and this is related to where you are now in your business. So what you're going to look at is you're going to score yourself like, okay, cool, I'm at a 6. I ideally want to be at a 9. We have a bit of a gap. What does that mean? Well, the green tells you the ideal. So if we go back to target market and you scored yourself a 2, where your single target market is everyone, and the ideal is to dominate a specific target market, who are then it's cool, then that's the direction we're moving in, okay? So we're going to look at message next. Clear, vivid, empathetic. So clear. Clarity is power. The clearer you are, the faster you'll go. The clearer your messaging is, the faster you'll bring people into your world. So on the 1 to 3 side, you can't quite clarify your message. It's vague and unclear. Prospects aren't quite sure what you do. So if you think your messaging is clear, okay, one thing you can actually do here is sometimes we're so close to our own work that we think it's better than it is, or sometimes we think that it's worse than it is. I like to use ChatGPT, which is what I call ChatGPT, and I'll ask ChatGPT, "Hey ChatGPT," I don't actually call it ChatGPT, I just say, "Hey," I'll take like a website headline or my Instagram bio or something, and I'll be like, "Is this message clear? If not, how can I make it more clear?" Or give it a score on 1 to 9. And you can literally insert these criteria. I want you to be brutally honest with me. Is it, super clear, vague, whatever it is? And ChatGPT will give you like, "Hey man, like, I don't understand what you do." Or yeah, yeah, it's great. You're doing great. Awesome. You're on the right track, but it sucks. Anyways, I find ChatGPT can be helpful with some of this stuff in terms of giving you honest feedback where appropriate. So you can certainly use that. Also, another really simple way of understanding if your messaging is clear is ask your market, right? So you could literally send an Instagram story. "Do you understand what I do and how I can help you? Yes? No?" And that's it. It's a poll. And then if it's not 100% yes, you got some work to do. And I promise you, it would not be 100% yes from me. For some reason, most people don't pay attention. They're just so concerned about themselves. So we always have to be reminding people of like what we do and specifically how we can help them with, in relation to what's important to them, what they're looking to solve. So clarity is really important. So on the flip side of this, we have your message is crystal clear and it's impossible to be misunderstood. It means one thing and everyone gets it. This is important. You want to be impossible to misunderstand. So if I say I help people lose weight, okay, that could mean a lot of things, right? But if I say I help women over 40 lose 10 pounds and fit into their skinny jeans, there's no misinterpretation around that. It's only that. It's not lose 20 pounds and fit into a dress. It's lose 10 pounds and fit into skinny jeans. So you want to be abundantly clear with your messaging as much as you possibly can. And now I understand, like, as your business grows, it actually starts to broaden a little bit. But when it's relatively young, you want to be very, very specific with your messaging. You're going to have millions of people, no matter how narrow you are in your avatar, in your niche. So don't worry about that. So let's just give this a 6. Vivid. So this is going to be your message is boring, lacks juicy details, and prospects can't easily visualize what you're saying. The keyword is can't easily visualize what you're saying or what they're reading. On the other side of the spectrum is your message uses language and examples that are specific, capture the imagination, and create a feeling or image in the prospect's minds that seems so real they can almost touch it. That's the epitome of good, vivid messaging. So as an example, if I say something like tired of the grind, so as an example, we help health professionals build transformational coaching businesses without the grind. Okay? So without the grind, let's just use that word as an example. Is that vivid? No. It's simple, but it's not vivid. And I use that for the sake of space more than articulation. If I were to expand on grind, what I could say is without spending all of your time working with patients one-on-one and then getting home at the end of a long 14-hour day only to heat up your dinner in a microwave while you're doing 2 hours of additional admin and paperwork, right? So that's an example of being more vivid, where you can in your mind, you could probably see what I was saying there, right? Even as I was saying that, I could see it in my mind about microwave, sitting at the counter, doing some paperwork. The more your messaging is along those lines, the more powerful it's going to be for your clients, because vividness and clarity go hand in hand. If your messaging is vivid, it's also naturally clear. Like you can't have vivid messaging that is not clear, because if you can see it in your head, then it's clear. And so vivid and clear go hand in hand together. And how this plays out is when you're writing emails, when you're writing a social post, even when you're telling a story, don't do what I do. Oftentimes when I'm writing, which I call myself a lazy copywriter. I just kind of I want to get it out. I don't take the time unless I really go back and scrutinize it to flesh out the story, to flesh out the details. But that's where the magic is is it's in the vividness of those details where people can feel like they're part of the story. They can see in their head what it is you're writing. This is really powerful. So if you're writing ads, if you're writing social posts, if you're writing emails, the vividness is a very, very big thing. And don't worry about the fact that people don't have time nowadays to read stuff. They do. They just don't have time to read boring stuff. Now, number 6. So let's just give ourselves a score here. Let's say you're an awesome writer. We'll give it a 7. Empathetic. So this is really important too, right? So empathetic on the 1 to 3 side is your messaging is all about you, your story, and your offer. It screams self-promotion. This is one of the biggest things I see on most health professionals' websites. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I suffered for so many years with this IBS shit, and I don't mean to downplay it. I just see this so often. It's hilarious. There's a time and place to tell your story, for sure. But it shouldn't be on the front page of your entire website. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one cares about you. No one cares about me. They care about themselves. So that's the non-empathetic side. The other side is your message is centered around your prospects, major fear, frustration, or desire. You've shown the ability to imagine what they might be thinking, feeling, or experiencing. They feel like you're in their head. That's the key. When you have people going through your marketing, whether it's a webinar or they're watching stuff of yours or they're listening to stuff or they're reading it, they want to be thinking to themselves, or they might even articulate to you. It's like, man, you felt like you were in my head. And that's when you know you have your avatar nailed. So empathetic here is not so much around, oh, I understand what you're going through. It's more of like describing what they're going through. Because when they feel understood by you, then they will start to listen to you. So this is why I talk about at the beginning of this call, beginning of this video, being an expert. There's no replacement for that. Because if you've never worked with a paying client, how are you supposed to know any of this stuff? How are you supposed to hear from their mouth what they're going through, their frustrations? We're not like internet marketers running random surveys and trolling through Reddit forums. That's for amateurs. You're an actual expert. You've worked with people in the flesh or virtually, and you've heard the words coming out of their mouth. That becomes the foundation of your messaging. So I'll just be generous on this. Let's give it an 8. But again, most of these scores for most people are a lot lower. Okay, and the final piece is the magic. So we talked about the market, we talked about the message, we talk about the magic next. These are the 3 M's. So number 1 is highly desirable. You are offering/selling what you think people need, i.e. mindset, breath work, Reiki, yoga, but not what they really want, which is, for instance, a body transformation. I'm going to just straight up tell you that most people are going to score 1 to 3 on this. Why? Because I see this all the time. Who's your target market? Moms. And you get a 1. What type of clients do you serve? I typically work with women who are into yoga. And 1. You're not talking about the problem. You're talking about what you do. So this, and I've talked about this many times before, is you have to dissociate what you do with what people want. No one cares that you're a Reiki practitioner. No one cares that you have this breathwork technique. No one cares that you do chiropractic or, I'm a health coach and I help people with their eating habits. No one gives a shit about that stuff. Okay. And again, I am a health professional first and foremost. I'm not talking about I've been in your shoes. I've been in this space for 20 plus years. So I'm talking about this from personal experience and seeing it. Nobody cares about what you do. What they care about is that you understand the problem they're going through, they're experiencing, that they want to solve. So what that means is the solution you have needs to be tied in with what they want solved. Not, hey, I'm so cool, check out my stuff. It's, oh, you have IBS? Well, check out this 4-step process for eliminating IBS so you can eat your favorite foods and not spend all day on the toilet. Oh, cool. That sounds like something really promising. So we've identified the problem. It's something desirable. So let's go to the flip side. So that was 1 to 3. What I'm describing here is a little bit further towards 7 to 9. You're offering a quantifiable, ideally, physical or performance transformation that solves a major pain or problem. It's a must-have and people are willing to pay top dollar for it. I help people with their mindset. I help people with anxiety. It's tricky, right? It's not quantifiable. Like there's certain ways you can quantify it for sure. I'll just give you a tip I share with my clients is when I was writing my book, which is somewhere down there, the All Day Energy Diet, became a number 2 New York Times bestseller. I was selling energy. Okay, like it's not quantifiable. I'm basically saying if you're exhausted, I'm going to help you not be exhausted. And so one of the things that we did in the book, and this is something I've recommended to all my clients since then, is finding a way to quantify qualitative measures. So if you're working with clients on the fatigue side of things, as an example, or anxiety, or anything that's not tangible, you create a scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is you are exhausted all the time. You can barely get out of bed. 10 is you need to take a tranquilizer because you have too much energy and you can't sleep. Like when I say a tranquilizer, I literally mean like a tranquilizer dart to put you down. That's how much energy you have. Where do you find yourself right now? Client starting on day 1. I'm at a 2. Okay, cool. We have a starting point. And then you can measure those every 30 days. So you go from a 2, 30-day check-in, where you find yourself right now. Same scale. I'm at a 5. Cool. So we've literally more than doubled your energy in 30 days. And this is kind of the promise of my book. Double your energy in about 7 days. And that's because we did this with so many clients and we had those quantifiable measures where I could literally say, if you follow this process, you will double your energy. How do you say double? How do you quantify double your energy? I quantified it by using this kind of scorecard where I said, if this is 1, this is 10, where you're at now, and we measure that over time and we look at how our clients progress with this type of plan. And so you can do this too with all sorts of stuff, right? So just think about for you, this is a little bit of an aside, like if you are selling something that's not as quantifiable, like as weight loss is, you're going to want to find a way to quantify it. And why it's important to do that from a marketing perspective, as we're talking about this, is that in your marketing, as soon as you start throwing in proof numerically, you're no longer making promises. So like as an example, in our HBA coaching program, the average client adds $67,000 per year to the revenue. Our top 20% make $360, or they add, sorry, to be clear, adding on top of whatever they're currently doing, $368,000. And our top 10%, I believe, are close to $600,000. I think it's like $589,000 and change. Those are specific numbers because we track our clients' results. We also know that our clients see an average return on their marketing of 314%. So we're not just making this stuff up. We actually dial this in because we track all their numbers. So if you have clients and you're working with them on the fatigue side of things, and you have a bunch of clients that go through your process, and after 12 weeks, on average, you help them go from a 2 to a 7, then you're like, hey, on average, our clients triple the amount of energy they have over the course of 12 weeks. What that means to them is this, So you can track all this stuff, and then you quantify it in terms of data points, and you can bring that back into your marketing. And even if you have something more quantifiable, like the number of migraine headaches someone has in a week, or the number of pounds they lose over the course of X, Y, or Z period, all of those delivery metrics are very important to come back into the front end marketing. Because what that allows you to do is it allows you to get out of promised land. You don't need to make promises anymore. It's like, hey, listen, I can promise you a proven path that got these results for our clients. I can't promise you the outcome. I would be in shit with the FTC, and I don't know if you're gonna do the work, but on average, here's what our clients see. And so you're not saying, I guarantee you're going to lose 10 pounds in 10 seconds. You don't even play that game. Because what's cool about this is that when you have, I'll put it this way. Would you rather, who would you be more willing to do business with? Someone who had 1,000 testimonials that were, for the most part, very positive, or someone who had no testimonials or very few and a very bold promise? I will help you lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks or your money back. Which one would you go with? So we have 1,000 testimonials and there's no guarantee, or you have the guarantee with maybe a few testimonials. Now, this is probably going to be split, but I would venture to say that the vast majority of smart individuals would choose the 1,000 testimonials Because in the world of skepticism and just the human brain in general, proof trumps all. So when you have overwhelming amounts of proof, it doesn't even matter what the promise is, because there's so much social proof around the thing that it's like, well, fuck, I gotta be like, it's gotta work for me at some level. Like, I mean, if thousands of people can do this, like, geez. So that's why this becomes very important. So in terms of the desirable result or something highly desirable, we want to be solving something that people like tangibly want to fix. Not I sell yoga, which it's not what you do, it's what you solve, what problem the prospect has that you want solved. Okay? So I'm going to give this a 2. We're going to keep this real, yo, because I see this happen too often, and I think it would just be better for the score at the end of this to chop it down a little bit. Okay. Tangible result. So this, again, is like, there's a similarity between highly desirable, right? So on the 1 to 3 side, we have you're offering or selling a soft, unquantifiable outcome like feeling better, more confidence, feeling aligned, more motivation. Heard that before? On the other side, you can clearly articulate the measurable, quantifiable outcome your clients will get. So this is exactly what I just talked about. There's a lot of similarity between these two things. If you can't articulate in numbers to a certain extent, we don't necessarily need to make promises, but if you can back it up with proof, amazing. But what I'm trying to get at here is if you say stuff like, I help you optimize your wellness, I help moms eat better. Like, what does that even mean? Okay. So it's not a tangible, I can't sink my teeth into that. So again, let's give this a 2. And then the third one is a big idea. So on the 1 to 3 side, you're offering or selling something that is the same as everyone else. There is nothing new or exciting here. On the other side is you've positioned what you offer as new, different, polarizing, or curious. It's an angle that has not been seen before, catches attention, and promises the outcome your prospect wants. So remember, how you use this can be for a paid program, product, service, whatever, or a free thing. It can be for a lead magnet. It can be for a webinar. Like, the same process is very valid here for that, as well as if they're paying you money. So this one here, I'm going to just give this a 3 just for the sake of changing up the numbers. But the big idea, this is one of the most important things to remember. Like, I mean, it's hard to say that one of these is the most important. They all kind of go together. The big idea, why it's important today, and I was actually just talking with our director of operations this morning about this, is she was asking me, have you seen anything different on sales calls over the last little while that's different than before? I said, no, it's the same stuff, right? It's the same problems, frustrations, desires, the whole bit. But I said, the biggest change that I've noticed, especially since COVID, is a lot of prospects coming in saying, I'm talking with a few other coaches. I've seen a bunch of stuff before. I tried a bunch of other coaching programs. How is yours different compared to this other thing I've tried? What I'm getting at is you're probably experiencing the same thing, because the market in general has become way more sophisticated. What that means is there are way more options out there for people to choose, especially in the online coaching space. Fucking anyone's a coach now, right? Like, you take out your phone and you're like, hey, I'm an expert, right? And so that actually dilutes the whole space, and it creates a lot of skepticism, and it creates a lot of supply, even though there's still a lot of demand. So when you have a market that's very sophisticated, like every market is, it's just even more sophisticated now, more competitive, you need a big idea to stand out. So I've also talked about the concept of a proprietary process in some of my videos. So as an example for us, like our perfect client pipeline is an example of a one singular 4-step system that literally automates 90% of your marketing so that you attract, nurture, and convert dream clients largely on autopilot. That's a big idea, okay? That's a big idea that's been heavily refined because that's the core of our business. And that's part of the reason our business has grown so rapidly. So, with what you do, you have to be thinking about 2 things. And I talked about this in a previous video, which is you have to speak your truth, right? Like how you stand out in a competitive marketplace. You have to speak your truth unapologetically. Like, I mean, you'll notice in this video, I drop a couple F-bombs. I mean, that's just the way it is. Some people like that, some people don't. I don't give a shit. Like, you just got to do you. That's the most important thing. But the second thing is you have to have a mechanism that's different. We call it a proprietary process. In this context, I'm calling it, in a certain extent, a big idea. Now, your big idea doesn't have to be the core engine that drives your business. It could be the big idea for a specific angle of an ad leading into one core offer, right? We have hundreds of ads that we've written, and all of those ads have different big ideas. They have different premises. They have different angles. It's like the airport. The example I often give is an airport. If you have a single runway airport, you have a very limited amount of airplanes that can land on that. So think about it from a marketing perspective. If you have one angle, you're going to capture a very small percentage of the market. But if you have an airport like LAX, which has probably, I don't know, I think 6 runways, 6 big runways, it's taking in A380s, 777s, all that stuff, the big aircrafts, so it can handle more traffic. In the business, if you have more angles, even into the same core offer, you can you simply address a larger percentage of your market, because now you're tapping into different perspectives, pain points, frustrations, ways of seeing the world that's not just singular. And they all funnel into the core thing you're offering, whether it's something for free or something paid. And so your big idea goes into each one of those individual ads or each one of those individual emails, or it's the hook, it's the angle, it's what's new, what's different, what's going to grab someone's attention. And your core offer, the thing, like how you help clients, like when they pay you money, there needs to be a way that like they have to believe in your system. I was reviewing a sales call yesterday with one of our clients, and we get to the end of the call, and his prospect, kudos to the prospect for actually being truthful. He's like, I just don't see the value for $6,000. Like, I just don't understand. Like, he's literally like, I just don't understand. Like, he's doing this. I just don't understand what I'm getting for $6,000. And that's because the way our client had articulated their process, or their quote unquote big idea, was not clear. And it wasn't immediately tangible for this prospect. So they didn't see the benefit of investing $6,000 to solve this problem. So again, all of that ties into clarity, right? Something that's highly desirable, a tangible result, and it needs to have something that is like, man, I've not seen this before. Because when you're speaking, as an example, further down the funnel, you get someone on the phone with you and they're interested in working with you. And let's say you help people with IBS. Either they trust you implicitly and they like everything you've ever done and they follow you for years. They're like, I don't even care what your process is, let's go. But the vast majority of people are not necessarily that person. So they're going to be thinking to themselves, how are you different? How is this different than stuff I've tried before? Why should I care? What is this going to do for me? And the most important thing in this process here is, how is this different? How is this different? With respect to the big idea, think of it, how is this different? Because if someone says, I've seen this before, I've tried this before, I've heard this before, I'm out. Because the human brain loves novelty. Novelty implies hope. This is something new, I've not done this before. Maybe this is the thing I've been missing, and if I have this thing, I think it can get me to where I want to go. Right? We all want that thing to believe in. And this new thing could be the thing. But if it's the same thing we've always done, well, we're not going to be too excited about it because that previous thing didn't work out too well. So we're never reinventing the wheel. We're simply putting different wrapping paper around the same idea. So if you think about, how you help clients lose weight, right? Like, let's say you're a trainer. So I started off as a trainer. If you're a trainer, this might relate. And you're helping people lose weight. How do you do that? You help them work out, and you get them to eat better. Wow. So do millions of other trainers and nutrition experts out there. How are you different? Who you are is one, but how's your process different? And this is where you got to think about this, right? You got to really think about, how is my process different? How do, when I'm working with clients, what am I doing? Okay, I'm not just having them do 3 sets of 8. Everyone does that, but what's unique, or how can I put a new spin on this? So for instance, when I was in my previous company, I had built a program called the Amazing Ab Solution. And it was a 3-step system called build, sculpt, and burn, right? So it's a 3-phase process. It was how to get a strong core without doing sit-ups. And the whole positioning around it was that sit-ups break your spine and waste your time. So I'm basically saying this is like the no sit-up solution to a strong core. And I'm positioning sit-ups as the devil, right? Because of how the hip flexors pulling the lower back, all this kind of stuff. So that was part of the positioning of that program as being different from other things. Now, you could also say, if I'm going to go down the rabbit hole here, you could also say, well, you're not the only one to be preaching core stability, static movements, etc. And so I'm thinking as a next level beyond that, we had, and I'm trying to remember, and I gave this a label and a name, and I can't even remember the name of it right now. But it was something along the lines of like a muscle activation process, or it wasn't a muscle activation technique, obviously, because it's a different modality, but it was something along those lines where, because this was a guided workout program on your headphones, part of the magic of that program was, if you're holding a plank, as an example, there's a very big difference between holding a plank and holding a plank properly. You could look at two pictures of people doing a plank, and they both look the same. But one could have a very different experience. And that's because of how they're activating their muscles. And the only way to do that properly is when you have the right prompts and coaching to help you do that. So if I'm instructing someone on how to do a plank, and I'm like, hey, I want you to tuck your belly button in toward your spine and brace your core as if you're about to get punched in the stomach. Got it? At the same time, squeeze your glutes and flex your quads to straighten your legs. Now, you can't visibly see that on the outside, but on the inside, that's a whole different exercise. And there's no movement. And so that makes all the difference. So now my big idea, part of my proprietary process, was this kind of like audio-guided muscle activation, which you could only get with this program. You would never be able to get it by reading some words on a page. And so I'm always thinking about, and this is what I want to just leave you with on this big idea concept. You always want to be thinking about, how can I position this as different? Because if it's not different, you're fucked. I don't want that to happen to you, because you probably have amazing expertise that people need to know about. But if you don't know how to position what you do, which might be boring as hell and the same as everyone else, you still have to find a way to like get the scalpel and dig into your process to find some unique way or method that you have that might be similar to someone else. Who knows? But you put a label on it, right? Have you ever heard of muscle confusion? Yeah. What's the first thing that came to mind when I said that? Probably P90X, because they coined the term. They invented a label called muscle confusion. That was their big idea. If you do the same thing over and over again, your muscles plateau. So by changing up the workouts, we confuse your muscles so they're always adapting. That's an example of a big idea that helped explode that product. Even though it's simply intense workouts 6 days a week. Like if you worked out with a trainer, there's really no difference. But how things are packaged makes a huge difference. Okay, so I think I've belabored that point. All right. So we have the scores on the right-hand side. Now, for you, if you haven't done this already, you want to fill out the scores so you have your sheet mostly filled out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the scores from what you have. So I'm just going to do my best to map all this out and make sure that it's relatively accurate. So we had a 6, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, and 3. All right, so you're going to have a total score on 81. Now, I'm going to do my best to do my math properly here. So we got 10, 15, 21, 28, 36, 40, 43. Now, if my math is correct, amazing. If it's not, you can let me know in the comments. So in this case, I've got a 43 out of 81. So interpreting the results, we're going to go down to here. I'm between 28 and 53. And basically what this means is I'm surviving. So it feels like you're working so hard to get clients, constantly putting on new stuff to see what will work. And although you might have a few clients, getting new clients seems as sporadic as rain in the desert. Your business is surviving, but just barely. So that's an example of how you take the score and then how you interpret it based on that score. Cool? So wherever you are, you're going to score yourself. And I'd love to know from you, if you're open to sharing this, let me know in the comments where you score, just out of genuine curiosity. Now, if you want to improve that score, then there's a link here. Click on this, and this will take you over to a free training that will show you how we can time compress the journey of getting more clients and obviously growing your business. We'll walk you through our proprietary process and how we help our clients scale. Just to be clear, this is specifically for you if you're an expert, you have a proven track record, you're experienced. If you're just starting out, you have no revenue, you've got no experience, do not click on that link. It is not for you in the slightest. Okay, I just want to be very honest about that. So if you are a little bit further ahead, if you have an existing business, but you're not quite, like where you want to be, that training can be very valuable for you. So there you have it. There's the client activator scorecard. That's the 9-point checklist, a 9-step checklist to help you get more clients. As you improve your score on this scorecard, what happens is your messaging gets better, your offer becomes more compelling, and more people say yes to opting in, more people say yes to giving you money. And as a result of those improved conversions, you can drive an infinite amount of traffic. Because remember, it's not the traffic that's the issue, it's the conversions. When you increase conversions and you get more people saying yes relative to the number of people you speak with, you have no problem driving as much traffic as humanly possible to that. So if you've enjoyed this video, let me know below along with your score. And remember to hit subscribe right around this video somewhere so you don't miss any of our other videos to help you grow a successful health coaching business online without the grind. Thanks for hanging out. Once again, I appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. I've built an 8-figure coaching business largely without relying on social media, and I've helped thousands of health professionals and coaches build 6, 7, and 8-figure coaching businesses without relying on the content grind or social media. If you want to learn how to consistently generate leads without grinding yourself on social, I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing in this video.